Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. It's not a bad time to recommend books for summer reading, especially if they might be helpful psychologically, because I actually created this list for Psychology Today. It's not surprising that well chosen self help books would help self improvement in anyone, but there have also been meta analyses that report that reading, what the fancy term is bibliotherapy, is effective in helping teens with mild depression or anxiety, and there have been individual studies of young adults that finds that it helps them with mild depression and mild to moderate depression in older adults. So, here are 12 books that my clients and I have found were helpful in self improvement. Because I am a career and personal coach, not a psychotherapist, except for one book, The Noonday Demon, which I'll mention later. These books aim at self improvement for the general public, not specifically for those with clinically significant anxiety or depression, although it may be helpful to them as well. With the exception of the book I'll mention last, I am including only books that have stood the test of time, both with the public and with me. Even though I read them years ago, they're still helpful to my clients and me. The first book is Change Power by Meg Seelig. Despite being a self help writer myself, I view much of such writing askance, but not this book. It favors the tried and true practical over pop psych nostrums. For example, the book suggests rehearsing your upcoming day. Here's a quote: conjure up any people or situations that might trigger a lapse and imagine yourself coping successfully. After you've made it through the day, have a talk with yourself. How did you do? Jog your thinking by filling in these blanks. I like that I blank. I wish that I had blank. I could strengthen my plan by blank. The book's subtitle, 37 Secrets to Habit Change Success, implies that those tips are atomistic, just little self contained tips, but in fact, they're presented in a sequence that could well comprise an overall step by step plan for improving your life. The next book on my list is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. The 7 habits actually reduced to just 3. 1. Have a personal vision that you'd be proud to live by and in the end, achieve. 2. Seek first to understand, only then to be understood. And 3. Keep learning. Those are obvious but too often not done. They're useful reminders dispensed in plain English. The next book on the list is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I did not look back at the book before saying this so that I could mention only what's stuck in my head all these years. In sum, it's to get what you want, you have to give people what they want. And what most people want is to feel good about themselves and or to get their problem du jour solved. That book, written in 1936, has sold more than 15 million copies. And today, its Amazon sales rank is still among the self-help books, number 13. The next book is also by Dale Carnegie, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. My favorite page in that book is what they call Part 1 in a nutshell, and here's its essence. Rule 1, live in day-tight compartments. Don't stew about the future, just live each day. Rule 2, the next time trouble with a capital T backs you into a corner, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen if I can't solve my problem? B, prepare yourself to accept the worst if necessary. And C, calmly try to avoid the worst. And rule 3, remind yourself of the exorbitant price to your health that you can pay for worrying excessively. The next book on the list is 3 Minute Therapy by therapist and his name is Michael Edelstein, the author. The book helps readers create a customized 3 minute exercise, which, if repeated daily, within weeks, often significantly reduces mild to moderate anxiety, depression, and substance abuse. The next book is The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. This novel is derided by some as insufficiently considering external factors that could militate against a person's success. But most of my clients, and me, who have read this story of an architect who triumphed over powerful individual and societal forces, found the book empowering, that we needn't necessarily be the victim of externalities. It's also an enjoyable and quick read. The next book is The Myth of Male Power. Written by the unofficial leader of the men's rights movement, Dr. Warren Farrell, this book provides solid support for the many men who feel unfairly targeted because of their gender. More academically oriented readers might prefer the book Legalizing Misandry by Paul Nathanson and Catherine Young. The next book is The Noonday Demon by Andrew Solomon. This National Book Award winner is an in-depth personal look at severe depression. It helped me to viscerally understand what I knew intellectually, that when an episode of severe depression hits, there may be no willing it away. You may just have to ride it out, and with most people within a few days, it does subside. Next is the book The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein, and the book that it inspired that I wrote called Venus and Iris. Although they're short picture books ostensibly for young children, they explore the question of how much to sacrifice for love. And the final book is the one that is not old. It's I'm just reading it now. It's called My Exaggerated Life by wonderful novelist Pat Conroy with Catherine Clark. Pat's father was truly a monster, an alcoholic who beat Pat nearly constantly for essentially nothing, and his beatings came unpredictably. Pat never knew when his father would go off. Despite a childhood poisoned by that, Pat, despite significant travails along the way, was able to become not only a highly successful author, but have a life that ended up, as the publisher's summary put it, quote, filled with family and friends as well as love and happiness, end quote. This is part of a 4-part series on self-improvement tools. The first was 10 self-improvement musts. There's a video on that. If you Google 10 self-improvement musts, you'll find it. And the final 2 I'm planning to publish in the next 2 days, both in text and on Psychology Today and in video here. One is called Journaling for Self-Improvement, and the other is called Seeking and Curating Feedback. Feedback is crucial for self-improvement, of course, but most people are scared of getting it. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I welcome you giving this a thumbs up, or if needed, a thumbs down. Your comments, your sharing this on the social media, your subscribing to my channel, and in any event, I certainly do appreciate your watching. I am Marty Nemko.